Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to return it to a brewery who are very well known here actually. This was one of the first craft breweries I encountered when I moved over here back in 2015. So for this one we are going to head once again to Dalarna County, which is of course home to Oppigårds Bryggeri. And this is one of the beers that they've very recently added to their core range, the Norn Pale Ale, which comes in at 5.6%. If memory serves me correctly, this is the first Oppigårds beer that I've reviewed for you out of a can, and I actually tried this one as well at the Inferno bar in Lund a couple of weeks back when I was there on the Thursday night for the Irish music. And I know this is a good beer, but I'm really looking forward to kind of thinking about it a little bit more for you as a review beer, so I really hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Oppigårds Bryggeri before. No doubt there will be some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes quickly to tell you about Oppigårds Bryggeri once again. So Oppigårds Bryggeri, as I've told you before, were founded back in 2003, very recently celebrating their 15th anniversary, but they're based in Hedemora, which is a little bit, it's kind of in the middle of the county if I'm remembering correctly, maybe over to the western side a little bit, but Dalarna County is located to the northwest of Stockholm, quite close to Berlanga and Falun. Those are probably the two kind of most well-known towns that you'll find up there. And it's a region that's very famous for its skiing as well. So the brewery sits on the 250-year-old Folkestrom family farm, and the original brew house was in a small wooden building which was apparently constructed back in 1896. This space was originally used for flax dressing, but also for the great-grandfather's metal smithing as well. And all of the beers were originally produced in this old building, but they also fairly recently added a new malt house, and they now have a new brewery as well, as I've told you before. But the brewery was founded back in 2003 by Björn Oppigård to revive the family farm and also to revive this tradition of the Swedish farmhouse ales. And these beers were really the norm in Sweden until the kind of wave of modern kind of generic fizzy water lagers that came around in the 1800s, and this made the farmhouse ales really rather unprofitable, and a lot of these little farm breweries just ceased operations. But this brewery's become very popular, and it's also allowed the Folkestrom family to continue making their living on the farm as they've done since the 1700s. But in their first year they produced only around 8,000 litres of beer and sold it very locally, but they've now produced over 1 million litres of beer per year, and they've got a new Italian brew kit as well, which takes their production capacity up to around 2.5 million litres of beer per year. They did have a few kind of teething problems actually getting that settled, and I know there was engineers coming up from Italy to try and get it started up and things like this, but from what I understand it is now fully operational, and they have got the brewery kind of up and running to full capacity. So from what I understand, Oppigårds will be exporting a lot more of their beers over the next little while as well. And you know, these guys, some of the beers are really quite good actually. One of my favourite ones is Amarillo. I have filmed a review for that, but you'll see it later. And the new Sweden IP of course is one that really a lot of people were raving about too. So if you get the chance to try any of these Oppigårds beers, some of them are a bit more, some of the ones that are in the core range just now are a little bit more like kind of classic craft beers. The Turbo Stout is one of my favourite ones. The Turbo Double IPA is also very good. The Amarillo's a really nice pale ale, but the new Sweden IPA is a very good beer as well if you want something that's a little bit more kind of modern if you like. And this is one that, as I said, they've released very recently too. But that's all you really need to know about Oppigårds just now. They're one of the more established craft breweries here in Sweden, as I've mentioned to you, one of the bigger ones by capacity as well, and it's kind of cool to see it's another a kind of revival of the old Swedish farmhouse beers too. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and things like this as well, and Instagram, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. But let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a pale ale coming in at 5.6%. It's hopped with Cascade, Citra, Cashmere and Mosaic. And it's got a malt base of Pilsner, Munich and Crystal malts as well. They always tell you on the website exactly what malts and hops are in the Oppigårds beers. Just so you know, you've seen me review 1 or 2 beers with cashmere in it. The most recent one, of course, was the Cashmere New England IPA from Green Gold Brewing in Slovenia. Thank you again to Davor for that one. But Cascade is an American hop that was developed by Washington State University. It was released back in 2013, and apparently it's a crossbreed of Cascade and Northern Brewer, and it gives you like flavours of lemon, lime and also some melon as well, so it's a really very interesting hop actually. I really enjoyed that beer that I had from Green Gold, and I'm really curious to see once again how this beer comes out in that. Citra and Mosaic, of course we know Citra, the famous mango hop, Mosaic the tangerines, and I'm really curious to see how they turn out with the Cashmere hop. It seems to be one that will be up and coming a little bit, I think. But yeah, let's get this beer out and we'll get on with the tasting then. As I mentioned, a 5.6% pale ale, this one. If I remember rightly, it's a New England pale ale, this, but you can see very nicely presented. I do like that black and orange artwork on this one. It's really quite fetching that. It tells you on the side here, this is a light ale that is brewed with Swedish corn malt and many types of different American hops. The hops dominate this beer. I don't know the last little bit, but the hop sorts in this one are Cashmere, Citra and Mosaic. I believe it does have Cascade as a bittering hop as well, and this beer is unfiltered, and to saying it's you should serve it between 6 and 8 degrees, and then it's got Björn Oppigårds symbol on the side there as well. One or two of the words in the Swedish there I'm a bit tired, so I can't really figure them out, but yeah, I really like the labels that you get on these Oppigårds beers. The star, it's a very kind of classic, almost British hand pump style label that you get on these things. They seem to be a bit obsessed with British pubs over here in Sweden, which I've never really quite understood, but the Swedish, in my mind at least, the Swedish craft beers are better than the ones we get back home in Scotland generally, and also the ones that we're getting in England as well. I think the Scandinavian craft beer scene is a good bit stronger actually, but that's my personal opinion. You've got some great beers in Denmark, Sweden and Norway these days, but yeah, just look at this. This one looks really nice. I remember this one actually being hazy when I had it before, so not quite sure about this one, but as you open this beer up, you get a hell of a lot of nice juicy fruity aroma. There's 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. They're actually wet this glass before I brought it in to do the video, but as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of golden straw colour. It is crystal clear actually. I actually remembered this one as being a more West Coast type pale ale, but from the malt base, as I say, crystal, Munich and Pilsner malts in this one, so it isn't a New England pale ale, this, it is just a regular pale ale. But you can see there's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say, I think that's a perfect white head rather than a cream head, to be honest with you. But it looks very, very nice, and definitely not out of the terms, out of the realms of possibility, my apologies, when you consider that it should be a pale ale. Lovely, bright, golden yellow colour, this one. More of a straw golden yellow, actually, rather than anything else. I do remember this beer being hazy, though, when I had it on cask. I don't remember it being quite this clear. But yeah, maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I'm thinking of another beer that I had that night, which is entirely possible, of course. But yeah, it looks like a very nice beer. Nothing surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is a pale ale. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Oh yeah, that's really nice actually. So I'm noticing the melon in this one, and the Cashmere, it is another one of these high alpha acid hops, but I do notice that in the last beer that I had as well, the melon really kind of jumps out of the aroma. You can pick up that there's a little touch of a lemon limey thing in there, but really to me it's the melon that jumps out. The other hop that gives you melon, of course, is the Styrian Wolf, which is a beautiful, beautiful hop that I've had from Slovenia before. Albeit not in that beer that I mentioned earlier from Slovenia, but the melon aromas really jump out of this one at you. You can definitely get some of these tangerine oranges as well, which are coming from the Mosaic. You definitely get those more towards the front of the nose, I'm thinking, but when you take it in a bit more deeply, the melons really jump out at you, and the also the mangoes from the Citra are coming out quite nicely as well, but the melon for me is the most prominent thing in this one. Everyone's nose is different right enough, so you guys might smell the fruits as being slightly different to me, But yeah, I think the melon really jumps out of this one. You can of course get a little bit of a lemon limey quality out of this beer. That will be assisted actually by the Citra, because you can get lemon and limey complexities from Citra as well. You can also get gooseberries and lychees and things like that, but those aren't coming out too much in this beer. Maybe a little tiny touch of lychee. But yeah, but so for me, tangerine oranges from the mosaic towards the front of the nose, the melons from the cashmere really coming out, and also the mangoes from the Citra. You can get a little bit of lychee from the... You definitely get a little touch of lychee from the Citra. You also get a little bit of the lemon limey quality, and you're also getting a little bit of a kind of blueberry note as well, which again is one of the complexities that you can get from mosaic actually. In terms of the green side of the hops, I would say this one leans more towards the grassy side of things. There is an element of floral quality to it, but it really does lean more towards the grassy side of things. The malt base takes really a back seat in this one. You can pick up that there's a little bit of bready quality in there, maybe a little kind of touch of biscuit as well. The crystal malt will be the one that's giving you the biscuit in there. The Munich malts and the Pilsner malts will of course give you more of the kind of bready qualities. The Pilsner malt will make this beer quite crisp in its flavour and its mouthfeel, if you like. But overall, the aroma of this one just has a nice juicy fruity quality, also a nice little bit of a green hoppy note to it as well. But overall it smells quite nice and really quite fresh, this one. As I say, the only thing that really surprised me about this when I poured it, and it should have clicked to my mind when I was reading the malt base out to you, this one I don't think is a New England style pale ale. This is more of a West Coast style pale ale one. But as I've said before, I have been missing some of these more West Coast style beers on the channel for you recently. But let's get stuck into this beer and just see how we get on then. This one is the Norn Pale Ale from Oppigårds Bryggeri in Hedemora in Dalarna county here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Yeah, it's a really nice beer, this one. It's one of these ones that's very well balanced. I mean, this is one that isn't going to blow the head off you in any shape, way or form. It's one that's just nice and kind of easy drinking. But I've always said that about the pale ales. You can get some IPAs and double IPAs and stuff that will blow the head off you in terms of bitterness or maltiness or whatever. This one to me is just a nice easy drinker. It's actually got the same kind of vibe to it as the likes of the Amarillo. And the Amarillo, as I said, is one of the best beers that these guys do in terms of sessionability. The Golden Ale's very nice that they do as well. So to me, this is almost just like a kind of one of the beers that they've done, and I think they probably have taken the base that they use in some of their other beers and just modernised the hop bill a little bit, and they've pulled off a really quite nice beer. And this is what Oppigårds do. They do tend to put quite a few different beers out there on tap, and if they prove to be very, very popular, they get good feedback for them, they will release them like this, and I think that's what actually happened with this one. But to me, this is a very nice pale ale, very similar vibe, if you like, to the Amarillo and the Golden Ale in some ways, but just the kind of feel that this beer has is very similar, but it's just got a bit more of a kind of modern hop assortment to it, if you like. Amarillo, of course, is a hop that you don't see used as often now as you used to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Whereas in this one you've got the Citra, the Mosaic and the Cashmere, some of which, very new hops, but some of them just not, as I say, Cashmere very new, Citra and Mosaic used quite a lot these days. So it really is just quite nice how this beer goes together. It's just a more modern take on some of their old, slightly older beers, I would say. So yeah, let's try and break the flavour down of this one a little bit then. So middle of your palate then, you've got a nice kind of, you can really feel the sort of smoothness of the Munich malt in there. That blankets the middle of your tongue, you've got that nice white bready quality as well. But you can feel some of the crispness from the Pilsner malt that's in there as well. That's really what gives this beer its sessionability. So you can feel the smoothness there, but then you've also got a little bit of almost wetness remaining on the middle of the palate too, which is coming from the Pilsner malt. If you go to the very centre of your palate, there's a little touch of a graininess there, and also a slightly biscuity sweetness as well, which is the kind of crystal malt coming out. The crystal does give you that really nice kind of sweet malty character to it. So in terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, the malt base I think is quite simple. And like I say, it is very similar to the other beers that these guys do, although some of them I do remember being a good bit sweeter than this actually. But with the hoppy side of this beer, back corners of the palate you get a little touch of earthiness there. That will be from the mosaic. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, that floral quality the earthiness just smooths out a little bit. You get a little touch of a floral aromaticity on the front corners of the palate. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, you get a little bit of a lighter grassy note to the beer as well. Then behind the front curve of the palate, you've got that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer, and this one has a really quite nice blend of things. You can definitely pick out the mangoes and the tangerine oranges, but it changes the melon and the kind of lemon limey qualities of this beer really just change how everything goes together. It is almost a little bit like a fruit salad. If you go to the very back of that slightly oily, that oily bubble you have, there's a little tiny touch of grapefruit in there. The mangoes come out of the beer quite nicely. If you go further forward on the tongue, you get the more tangerine orangey notes, and the melon flavours are just kind of sitting in there as well. I think there's a touch of a limey flavour comes out towards the front of the palate as well, the further that you go into the aftertaste with this one. The complexities of the citra and the mosaic and stuff like that in this beer, I don't think they come out quite as well in this one as they do in some of the other beers. You do pick them up in the aroma, but not quite so much in the flavour, I think. Yeah, I mean, there is a little touch of like gooseberry, light cheese and things like that. On the very tip of your palate you might get a little bit of blueberry, and some of the kind of, as I say, some of the lemon limey notes come out further later into the aftertaste as well. But the complexities for me in this one don't quite come out in the same way as they might in other beers. But again, for me, the fruity flavours are very nice. The fruity flavour just has a slightly darker vibe to it as well, which is kind of interesting. But this one, I think, is a very nice sessionable pale ale to me, as I mentioned a couple of times. It has a very similar vibe to the Amarillo for me and the Golden Ale that they do as well. I think they've also got a beer that might be called Session Ale. I remember having that at one point and really enjoying it. So this is just a slightly more modern take, if you like, on some of their older beers, I think, with different hops and possibly a slightly different malt base to it as well. But it's another very, very nice beer from Oppigårds. In terms of pale ales, this is definitely one that you could pick up a few of in session, and it's reasonably priced as well. I think it's 24 Swedish kroners, which is about £2 UK, about €2.50, something like that. So it is a very reasonably priced beer, this one, I think, and you know, it's a nice pale ale. You can't really ask for much more than that. So yeah, the flavour of this beer works out very nicely, and it's got a more unusual hop in it that you don't find too much yet. The cashmere hop in it, the melon flavours shine in this beer quite nicely, and the lemon limey vibe that it has in the aftertaste is also very good from that hop. In terms of the mouthfeel then, the carbonation on this one is quite smooth. It's a mid-bodied beer. It's got a little touch of an oily quality to it, but at the same time it's got a little bit of wetness. It has the water in this one, you can pick up with this beer that the water does have a little bit of mineral content. I'm always quite sensitive to that as a Scot, because you know, we are used to very high quality water in Scotland, and you can pick up with this beer, at least I can, with the water in this beer is pretty damn good quality. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. I think you're maybe looking around sort of 40ish, maybe 50 IBUs. Yeah, well actually, maybe more, yeah, probably more 40 IBUs in this one. So it does kind of have a bit of the New England bitterness to it. They do seem to have been taking the IBUs of beers back down in recent times, so this one maybe isn't quite as bitter as some of the other ones that you're going to come across from Oppigårds, right enough. But yeah, nice juicy fruity quality to this one. The malt base has a good balance between the smoothness, crispness and a little bit of the sweetness in there, as we mentioned. The Crystal, Munich and Pilsner malts all playing their own role. Nice little bit of bitterness from the green side of the hops, and you've also got that lovely juicy fruitiness in there as well. So yeah, a really nice, more modern take on the pale ale, if you like, from Oppigårds, and I do hope to see them release a few more beers, but this is one, from what I gather, that has been added to the regular core range, and it is available throughout the whole of Sweden. Those of you watching from outside of Sweden might come across this one a little bit soon as well, because as I say, one of the bigger capacity craft breweries here in Sweden, and they are doing some very, very nice beers as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. Thumbs up to Oppigårds Bryggeri for this one, and I do hope to see more beers from them in the fairly near future. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Oppigårds Bryggeri as well, and I'm sure we'll return to these guys in the fairly near future. This one is the Norn Pale Ale, coming in at 5.6%, a really nice, more modern take on the pale ale style, but still with the same old kind of Oppigårds vibe, if you like, that you get from the likes of the Amarillo, some of the old favourites in there, the Amarillo, the Golden Ale and stuff like this. So it does have that typical kind of Oppigårds vibe to it, which is very nice. So have a go at this beer for yourself and just see what you think. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Norn Pale Ale from Oppigårds Bryggeri in Hedemora, Dalarna here in Sweden. Until the next time, slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.